Hey everyone, this channel is to learn more about different therapy techniques that you can use in your personal life or even your therapy practice. The technique that we're going to go over today is called the straightforward technique with Kevin Cornelius.
Hi, Richard. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me here. We're going to be using this method called the straightforward technique. And I believe, Richard, you're going to be in the role of a therapy client with me who has come for some help with social anxiety. And we've determined that you've been having this negative thought: if I go to this party, I will embarrass myself. And that's the thought that you've chosen for us to work on today. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Yeah, so thanks, Richard, for choosing this thought. I want to start with working on this thought using a method called the straightforward technique. And this is a powerful technique that's rather simple, but has a big effect. And basically what we're going to be doing is answering 3 questions about this thought that's going to help us come up with a positive thought that we're hoping is going to prove that your original negative thought is not true and then change the way that you're feeling. Does that sound good? Can we give it a try?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the thought again is, if I go to this party, I will embarrass myself. And the first question that I want to ask you is, what are the flaws in this thought? Like what are some errors that you see, or some things that might not be true about this thought?
Well, it's not really guaranteed that I'll embarrass myself. And, I've been to other parties before and I really didn't embarrass myself when I went.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's make sure we write that down, right? You said that it's not a
Mhm.
guarantee that you're going to embarrass yourself, and that you've been to other parties before and didn't embarrass yourself, right? So we'll make sure we'll write that down. And then the second question I want to ask you is, how does it hurt you to tell yourself this thought? Like when you have the thought, if I go to this party, I will embarrass myself, is that holding you back in some way, or is it doing some kind of harm to you?
Yeah, when I have this thought, it really discourages me from going to these parties. And at the end of the day, I just don't go out and connect. And I just feel even more lonely and upset with myself that I didn't go. And I beat up on myself because of it.
Oh, wow. So it discourages you. It causes loneliness, and it also leads you to beating yourself up for choosing not to go. Did I get that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that sounds really hard. And I think that those are really good examples for us to use of how the thought is harming us. So let's make sure we write that down too. Um, and then the third question is, what do you imagine the possible negative consequences would be if you were to keep believing this thought and telling yourself this?
Well, if I continue like telling myself this, then at the end of the day, I'm just never going to go out and meet people and connect with people and miss out on opportunities. And maybe my friends will stop inviting me to these parties, and then I'll just kind of isolate and going to be alone forever.
Wow. Okay. Those are very bad consequences. So let's make sure we write those down. I think that that's exactly what we're looking for here. So I thought I heard you say that if you keep telling yourself this, you'll never go out. You're going to miss opportunities to meet people. Your friends are going to stop inviting you to things, and you're just going to spend all of your time isolated and alone. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds pretty bad now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. So I just want to check in with you and make sure that you wrote down those great answers that you gave me to all 3 of those questions, right? Do you have them written on your paper right there in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay. So how about if you just read to me the answers that you wrote down to those 3 questions?
Yeah, so for the first one, how does the thought harm or actually the first one is what is wrong with this thought? And it's wrong because it's not true because I don't really embarrass myself in these other moments at like other parties, and part of this is never really happens. And in terms of why this thought hurts or harms me, it kind of puts me in a situation where it discourages me from going to different parties and connecting with other people. And really the consequence, which is the last question you asked me, is that I continue to believe this, that I continue not going to parties, and then people might stop inviting me because I keep saying no, and then eventually I kind of isolate and kind of like alone and feel lonely.
Yeah. So the answer to those three questions that you just read to me that you've got written down there, how much do you believe those things between 0 and 100%?
And that pretty much feels 100% true if I continue just to stop going to these parties
Yeah.
because of this.
Yeah. Maybe just make a note to yourself right now, belief 100%, right? And then the last question I have for you, if those things are 100% true that you just read to me, now how much do you believe if I go to this party, I will embarrass myself?
It does definitely feels less true here, especially given that I haven't embarrassed myself before. I'm just gonna go and just talk to people,
Mhm.
and maybe I'm really quiet, but I don't really embarrass myself. So it's not really true. Maybe a 0%. I don't really see anyone embarrassing
Okay.
themselves.
Yeah. Let's put down then a 0% belief next to your negative thought there. Yeah, and I'm wondering, what do you think about that? Like, what's it like for you to take your belief in that thought down to 0?
Well, I'm just like really surprised to kind of like see this thought, because not only do I kind of see that it's not true, but it's been like really harming me in a lot of ways, and also creates a lot of negative consequences. I'm glad I can kind of stop this now and kind of go to more parties rather than continue this pattern and kind of isolate. So it's actually really helpful for me to kind of go through this.
Wonderful.
Let's pause right there on this role play. And that was a really awesome technique by Kevin Cornelius, the straightforward technique. If you want to learn more about these different therapy techniques, feel free to subscribe, and you can find more about Kevin Cornelius in the descriptions below.